In my 60 years of life, I have seen different types of dominance and power mechanisms in relationships, but you might wonder, what is the role of dominance in any type of physical intimacy? Okay, I am trying to give you an example. I have seen a husband lamenting over a marital discord where he wanted to be physically intimate, but it didn't materialize because of his partner's refusal over a trivial issue. His partner set a condition, and if and only if that condition was met, the intimacy would come into effect. Naturally, the question comes to my mind, is sex all about dominance? Some way or other. Sometimes tangibly, in a concrete way, and sometimes intangibly, which you can only feel. So, today, we're diving into this fascinating topic. Before we start, let me tell you one thing. Many people associate power dynamics with sexual relationships, but is dominance truly the central theme in every intimate encounter? Let's explore this idea in depth.
Hello and welcome to Gunset, a channel for intelligent and curious people like you. Before we proceed, let me tell you one thing. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. It means a lot to me. And if you have already subscribed, tons of thanks for your support.
To start with, let's define dominance and sex. Let's start by breaking down these two terms. What do we mean by dominance? Dominance refers to a position of power or control in a relationship or situation. It can be physical, emotional, or psychological. But in relationships, dominance often plays out through behaviors where one person takes the lead or asserts control. Despite the fact that this role changes over time and circumstance, dominance prevails. And what about sex? Sex, in its broadest sense, is the physically intimate act between individuals, but it also encompasses emotional, psychological, and relational aspects. It's a way of connecting with someone intimately, and it can vary greatly from one person or couple to another. Now let's try to understand the role of dominance in sex. To do that, we need to start by answering this question first. Is sex all about dominance? The short answer is no. While dominance can play a role in some sexual dynamics, it is not the defining characteristic of every sexual experience. It cannot be. But why are we trying to say that? It's because in certain relationships, dominance is key, especially in some special contexts, where power exchange is negotiated and enjoyed by both partners. For example, studies by Dr. Justin Lemiller, a sex researcher, suggest that for some people, dominant-submissive roles are central to their pleasure. But it's important to note that these roles are consensual and negotiated. Moreover, they aren't the only form of sexual expression. In these special cases, dominance is negotiable and based on pure consensus. Now let's see the power dynamics in regular relationships. In other regular relationships, other than those special dominant and submissive role-exchanging relationships, the idea of dominance still comes up. In fact, I have started my video with a real-world example which I have witnessed, right? But of course, it's often more subtle. You cannot recognize it through your bare eyes. Its presence is invisible and intangible. In a healthy, equal relationship, power dynamics can shift and evolve. Some people enjoy taking charge at times, while others prefer to be more passive. But the key word here is again, consensual. Consent, respect, and communication are what truly define a healthy sexual relationship, not simply dominance. But that is theoretically true and above all, not that easy. Why? Because of psychological differences between two people, in most cases, it doesn't match properly. As a result, the consent evaporates and the skeleton of conflict raises its ugly head. Take a look at research by Dr. Shireen Rizk of the University of Kent. She found that in many relationships, power dynamics are fluid. It means one partner might take the lead in certain moments, while the other leads in others. This fluidity of power can actually increase intimacy and connection between partners. But in real-life relationships, two partners both should be aware of this theory. Does it really happen? If it happened, we would not have seen so much divorce around us. Therefore, psychological aspects of dominance are important. But unfortunately, psychology is something that we cannot see, taste, and touch. Its intangibility sometimes creates confusion. However, the question remains, what about the psychological aspects of dominance? Is it all about control? The answer is not that easy. But in most cases, we must be optimistic, and the answer is, not necessarily it's all about control. Psychology plays a huge role in sexual experiences, but it's not solely about exerting control only. Many people are drawn to the idea of dominance because it can create feelings of safety, security, and trust. For instance, some people may feel more comfortable being submissive because it allows them to trust their partner more deeply. Others might find empowerment in taking the dominant role, as it boosts their confidence and feeling of agency. But what happens when both partners try to dominate? In fact, the feeling of emotional safety can sometimes be far more important than the need for dominance. According to Dr. Laura Berman, a renowned sex therapist, intimacy thrives when both partners feel valued, understood, and respected. But this golden rule is broken when one partner is simply in charge and dictates everything. Now let's talk about the power in love and sex. To do that, let's discuss how love and intimacy factor into all this. Think about healthy relationships. Here, sex is about more than just dominance or power. It's about connection. As a result, many people find emotional and physical fulfillment through shared experiences, mutual respect, and understanding. The power dynamics may not be fixed or constant. Instead, it's about balance. But think about the idea of emotional vulnerability. Many people find that being emotionally vulnerable with their partner is one of the most intimate forms of connection. This vulnerability often requires trust and equality, rather than dominance. Are there any cultural influences on dominance and sex? Well, it's also important to acknowledge how culture shapes our understanding of dominance and sex. In some cultures, power dynamics and gender roles heavily influence sexual behaviors and expectations. These societal norms can sometimes blur the lines between what's consensual and what's expected. For example, research by Dr. Lammers and colleagues, 2011, explored how power in social contexts influences sexual behavior. They found that power and dominance are often linked to gender roles. However, it's essential to challenge these norms. A more modern, progressive view of sex emphasizes equality, respect, and mutual satisfaction, rather than rigid dominant submission roles. But I again repeat, it's an ideal situation. Sometimes it looks utopian. Finally, what is the takeaway at the end of the day? From all these, what can we say? Can we say that sex is not all about dominance? Of course, while dominance can play a role for some individuals and in specific contexts, it's not the defining feature of healthy sexual relationships. Why so? It's because at its core, sex is all about different types of connections. It could be emotional, physical, and psychological. It's about communication, trust, and mutual respect. The power dynamics may shift, but they should always be based on consent and mutual desire, not control or coercion. That is the only way through which we can achieve fulfillment. Remember, a fulfilling sexual relationship is one that is built on respect, equality, and openness, not dominance. But it is only achievable when both partners are aware of that. Otherwise, it remains an illusion, not reality. Thank you for joining us today. We hope this video helped you understand that sex isn't just about dominance, but about much more. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Leave us your thoughts in the comments section below. We are eager to know your story and what are your thoughts on power dynamics in relationships. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye. Take care and stay safe.